Hey, it's Mike, and I'm back in the Ask a Perry a Question series, and shoot. I was started in coffee in '93. At the time, I had left a couple years earlier a job in construction, actually as a co-owner of business, sold my interest, and decided to go back to college to get a degree. And I decided to study chemical engineering because I was fascinated with engineering and chemistry and science, and halfway through, what I thought was a lot of money was not. So I had to find a way to support my family. And at the time, my wife and I, we were going to coffee houses that were new and popping up, and we would go there, and our date night once a week, we'd have a cup of coffee, a cappuccino, share a cheesecake, and we just really loved the ambience and everything. As I said, what I thought was some money from selling my business was not enough, and I was going broke, so we decided to open a coffee house to pay the bills. So when we first started roasting, or we first started in coffee, we were not a roaster. We were just a retail coffee house. And like everybody, I was learning about coffee, so I had visited hundreds of coffee houses before we opened up, found a place to have coffee I liked, who they were using, started buying from some of those roasters, and I was probably the original multi-roaster coffee account or coffee house, and that I soon was carrying coffee from 6 or 7 different roasters, because some could get one thing right, some could get another, but at the time roasters were just not doing a good enough job to be able to handle multitude of beans, multitude of varieties and roast levels, and I really wanted to excel at everything. So I was buying from them, and a friend calls me up and he says, "Hey Mike, you're in coffee, right?" And I said, "Yeah, why? What's up?" He says, "Well, I bought this coffee house and it has a roaster in it. You know anything about coffee roasting?" And at the time, by now, after 2 years in coffee, I graduated, got my degree in biochemical engineering, and had opportunities, but passed up in that field, and just decided to kind of get into the coffee house environment for paying the bills and having fun. And when he calls me up, if you have any friends that are, studying engineering and know engineering or engineers, I guess our downfall is we think we can do anything. So I said, sure, I can do that. Went over, had a Dietrich machine, I read all the manual about it, I contacted Dietrich. They said, "Oh, come on out, we'll teach you how to roast." I flew out to Sandpoint, Idaho, where they had recently moved. They were really nice, and they showed me the machine, and they said, "Yeah, this is where you turn it on, and the gas turns here, and the beans go in there, and when they're done, you put them in there, and that's how you roast." And it's kind of like teaching someone how to use an oven. Doesn't make you a chef, and for roasting, it doesn't make you a roaster. So I really had to kind of teach myself how to roast, and I used basically what I learned in engineering. I took a scientific approach to everything. Every roast was a different experiment. Every experiment I would document, record everything I did from, every minute I'd write down the time, the temperature, the airflow, and I would draw these pictures of what the roast looked like. Now we call those profiles. And I would taste every single batch. And based on how it tastes, I'd make adjustments. In the beginning, maybe it was as simple as what's too light or too dark. Maybe varying the time. As we got more sophisticated, the actual shape of the profile and how long we'd go between each phase of roasting, from the drying to the caramelization to the development, and tweaking and manipulating and making those pictures look different. And they all had different tastes until it was really, really good. And then, because I had a record of how to do it, I could duplicate. And that's how we got into roasting. And it was a Dietrich machine at the time. When I looked to decide I wanted to do this, I wanted to get my own roasting, I wanted to expand in it, I got a Dietrich roaster. Letting fresh beans rest is essential. When we taste them right out of the roaster, they'll still have a bit of a roast flavor to it. When we are sampling and doing coffee, we always like to wait a minimum of 1 day for wash coffees and 2 days for natural processed coffees. Espresso, on the other hand, we like to wait a week. And when our coffee was awarded best in the world at the World Championships, and Heather competed there, we experimented and tasted coffee every day after roast. And one was the best, and sealed bats and opening them up. And we personally found that we like it 9 to 10 days as being best. Coffee roasting profile takes the taste of coffee just greatly. You know, if your profile, you know, kind of like cooking, if you start real slow and just kind of amp it up, you'll kind of have a flat taste to it. If you roast too fast, like something like in a really hot skillet, and then, you know, slowly finish it. If you come really fast on your profile, meaning really hot and really fast, then you slow it down and stretch it out, it's not as good too, because the outside will be overcooked, the inside won't be right. You want to develop it at a nice pace, a nice profile, a certain time frame, and the only way to know is to really experiment, to taste each different thing. So to me, a profile is essential, and for ourselves, as I say, we experiment and taste every single thing, and when it's really right, that's what we love, that's what we duplicate, and we've come to call out ourselves our peak of flavor roast style. So it does make a difference, and that's hopefully what you're enjoying. Thank you for submitting your questions to Ask a Perry. If you have more, drop them in the comments, send an email. Love to talk more about coffee.